Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. And we're doing a little bit of renovating right now. So excuse the backdrop. Um, so today I wanted to come on and talk about performing and why we are all performers and um, in everyday life, what performance means and how we interpret it. Uh, and when I talk about it, what I actually mean. So, hi. If I'm looking down, I'm looking at notes. I'm looking at notes. Hold on, let me go get my notes. There we go. All right. Hi, I am Liana Wimberly Williams, and I am a performance advisor. And I'm going to talk about what that actually means. I help people communicate and perform under pressure while staying true to themselves in any pressure, situation, not just being on stage. I think a lot of times we consider performing to be just the entertainers, dancers, singers, actors. But I'm here to talk about how we are all performers and we perform every day. And today I want to just define what that actually means. So, when I say performance, I mean staying true to who you are and how you communicate, even when the pressure's on. And I'm going to give you some examples in a minute. And that it is not just when you're on stage as an entertainer and you're not just putting on a facade or a persona, acting like a different person completely. So here are a few instances. Um, some example scenarios would be answering tough questions in a job interview by being honest about who you are instead of just saying what the interviewer wants to hear. So you're being organic. You are under pressure, and you're staying true to who you are. Another real life example. So, right now, I am performing. How am I performing? I'm performing because I am in a situation of pressure. I am live for the world to see. It is being recorded. I am I am having to fight with staying true to who I am. I am also going live anyway to keep my commitment. I didn't go live last week, and because I'm getting used to this whole thing. Um I'm getting used to this whole thing, but right now I'm performing because I am going live. It's being recorded. I'm talking to whoever I'm talking to, or I'm not talking to anybody, but I'm going live anyway. So I'm in a pressure situation. The camera's on, it's recording. People could show up at any time, and yet I'm here and I'm fighting to be a persona or to be myself. So I am performing. Um, I'm not being fake, so not that type of performance, and I'm not necessarily just on it. I'm not here to just entertain you. So not that type of performance, but I'm in a pressure situation and I'm communicating publicly. And I'm also deciding that I'm going to stay true to who I am and speak from that place, a place that's congruent with who I naturally am. The pressure also could come with judgment, judgment about how I present, judgment of how I look, judgment of what I wear, judgment of my hair, my face, my background. It's not perfect. I could have not gone live because, which way am I? This little line right here on the edge of my fireplace, because I typically, where my desk sits, where my desk sits, the camera faces behind me so you can see the reconstructing that I'm doing in my home. So I can choose not to go live because I don't want you to see that. I don't want you to, I don't want you to see that ugly line of where we're finishing up painting our fireplace and renovating it because um because you might judge me about how my background looks. That little strip. So I I am communicating in a public forum and I am choosing to show it to you anyway. I am choosing to allow you to see my natural my natural habitat, my natural space the way that it is, regardless, because the message I have is more important. Is so important. The message that I have is so important for you to see. That little strip right there doesn't mean anything. That little strip right there and the positioning of my camera right now cannot keep me from delivering this message that I know will impact lives. That's performance. And what I do is I advise you under pressure. I help you do what I'm doing right now and what I've done for eons, my entire life, dare I say, as a performer, as a singing performer, as a stage performer. I've had to overcome pressure in order to do what I do while also maintaining the integrity, the emotional integrity of my singing voice, of my performance. And so what I want people to understand is that the art of performance is something that we do all the time. We just don't realize that we're doing it. And I also want to question how effectively we're doing it while also maintaining our composure and maintaining congruence and the integrity of our nervous systems, of our well being, and what is true, what is authentic and organic to who we are? Or are we putting that on the back burner for the sake of a job, for the sake of an employer, for the sake of fill in the blank, whatever your thing is? So I will use myself as case studies a lot because that is also a way that I perform under pressure well while keeping the integrity and keeping myself. So, anyway, some other examples. Let's keep going. So, other scenarios of how you perform. So, remember, I'm going to remind us what my definition of performance is. Performing is staying true to who you are and how you communicate, even when the pressure's on. That's it. How to communicate while staying true to who you are, even when you're in a situation of pressure. Um, Remembering it's not now, pressure does mean, on stage, in addition to stage and acting and things like that. But there are many times we're performing way, 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 way more than we think we are. Another example scenario. Staying calm and true to your parenting style when your kids are having a meltdown, even when you're stressed. Situation of pressure, your call to action, many times when you're not ready to. So, how do you maintain integrity of you as a parent while having to make this? Sometimes it could be a correction of your child, sometimes it could be a soothing of your child. How are you making sure and balancing this situation of pressure while maintaining who you are as a parent? So, another scenario where you're staying true to who you are and how you communicate when the pressure's on. Another interpersonal one. So, I'm going to use myself as a case study again. My husband is a high school chorus teacher, and have what's called large group performance evaluations where choirs go and then they get evaluated on their performance, on, different things in preparation for the professional world of choral singing. Um, and he asked me a question musically about, he took a recording of his choir and he wanted me, in preparation, how are they sounding? And a lot of times with high school students, chorus teachers everywhere are all fighting with the balance between healthy singing, healthy choral singing, um, and volume. Because I find that a lot of times this generation of singers, putting their voices out there is a very difficult and hard thing. And that's another conversation for another day. So anyway, he was preparing for this big evaluation for his choir, and he was focused on, like dynamics and technical things. And when I heard it, I said, and I suggested, I was like, well, getting them to sing out and sing louder is what I believe the focus should be. And if you focus there first, the dynamics are more easily you're going to have an easier. I just realized something. You may not be able to hear me as well. You probably can hear that. All right. This is great. This is fun. This is fun stuff. When you start when you start to put your voice out there, child, and you start creating and everything doesn't go well, but you got to do it anyway. You got to do it anyway. I this right here is an example of maintaining grounding and well-being in a pressure situation. You're getting to see it in real time and performing anyway. Keep coming back to it. Don't run from it. Don't run from the discomfort of the pressure. You keep coming back to it. You have to return to the performance opportunity, because if you don't, you'll never get good at it. You will never learn how to maintain identity and grounding in yourself and authenticity if you don't keep coming. If you run from it, you'll never find it. You have to face the pressure. You have to continue to introduce your nervous system to pressure. Now, where I come in, I help you do that because I've been doing this for years. And so it's probably easier for me to keep facing the pressure because I'm used to the pressure of performance. I've been performing my whole life. And so when it comes time to be in a pressure situation, whether it be, a pressure situation could be um, having a conversation. Um, I'll give you an example for my singers who are auditioning and you have to do the interview after your audition. Pressure situation. Having the conversation. Are you or do you have a hard time allowing people to see you while being under pressure? I think that's really what we're talking about. Performance is allowing people to see you. You communicate in your authentic and organic self while under the pressure situation. Or do you just have right answers? So I think that's what we're talking about. Anyway, going back to my husband who's getting ready for LGPE, large group performance evaluation. So he's working on all these technical skills. And I said, "Hey, oh, sorry." I said, "Hey, so I think the best move for you right now as you get closer to this is to focus on encouraging them to sing louder and coaching them into that space, because all the other technical skills will be a lot more um, easily found for you if they're putting the sound out there. They may not be used to it. It may feel awkward to them, in the beginning. But if you start them off, if you start them off with just put the sound out there, the technical stuff is going to fall into place. And that small shift made the biggest difference. I listened to the recordings yesterday and they did absolutely phenomenally. And it was about making music not just technical and not just for large group performance evaluations, but it was about making it authentic and powerful, not just perfect on paper. So another form of performance. Another example scenario, it could be handling a work crisis or a disagreement, whatever your job is, in a way that reflects your particular leadership style, keeping the integrity of your leadership style without compromising your values. You are in a situation of pressure and you have the opportunity to communicate in your way, in a way that's truest to who you are or not. Another example of performance. Another scenario, public speakers, giving a talk. I've got a lot of public speakers giving a talk in any way, whether you're in classroom, a stage talk, a TED talk, a Zoom call. You're giving a particular talk, but you choose to keep it real, of course, in alignment with whatever your content area is, and you're nervous to maintain the integrity of who you are because that is the way that the message stays genuine. You were in a situation of performance pressure, where people are looking at you, you're public, and you get to decide if you're going to maintain communication so that it is in alignment with who you are while you're in this pressure situation. Pressure situations typically mean you are setting yourself up for perhaps judgment, the opinions of others, comments, disagreements, some type of uh is dissuade the word I want? So something that could keep you from utilizing the language that you want to use. Now, okay. I I'm not saying I have there's a content creator that comes up to mind for me, and she talks about people with issues of employment, and I would say her language is not as I would use, and it can be jarring for certain people. She don't care. It doesn't matter to her. She is using her stage. She's keeping the integrity of who she is and not diluting her message for the comfort of the people who are uncomfortable with how she speaks. And so she is performing because she's putting herself at risk for criticism. How does she keep showing up? Because she knows that her ultimate message is more important than her not coming back. She's performing. She's performing every time she turns that camera on. Another scenario is my executives or leaders or business persons who are doing negotiations and like contract negotiations or pitch meetings or anything like that. Um, any area that you're negotiating, or you're an employee negotiating salary, or you're on an interview negotiating salary, or anything like that, and you have the choice, you are performing You were performing. You were in a pressure situation and you are communicating to public of some kind. You are performing. Now, the question is, are you going to perform in a way that is aligned with who you are? Or are you just going to accept what's offered to you and not say, well, I believe that this position is worth X, Y, and Z? And being able to discern how you respond in those situations. But you are performing. Um, so I already talked about interpersonal relationships. We're performing all day. There's every day. There's performance every single day. And I think that in this next, I guess in the season of my lives, what I'm realizing right now is that because of my career as a classical performer, and even just a singer, I've been singing my whole life. I have naturally been conditioned to perform on stage. Now, it is difficult for me to perform in a way that is out of alignment with who I am naturally. And so, because of that, sometimes it means I can't be in certain spaces, but sometimes it also I have conditioned myself to keep coming back to it. Um, Now I'm realizing that I have the power to not just perform, but to perform in a way that's true to me. I just like it like that. And so I think it is a message that we all need to hear. And so I am going to keep showing up in this container of performance. And my job is to get better at communicating this message because I know how important it is. It's life altering. So I am going to be an example of what I naturally advise others on and myself. I show up and do it all the time. And that is performance in a way that is true to who you are, even while you're under pressure. That's the message. And it'll continue to be refined. Um, I will get better in how to communicate it because a lot of times I think that we don't really understand the magnitude of our voices enough. And so I'm going to keep coming and I'm going to get better at communicating this message because I think it's going to empower a whole lot of people in how we show up with people, and also how we show up in public. Um, and I don't just mean, content creation. I mean, show up when you are engaging outside of yourself, maintaining who you are, communicating who you are while you're under pressure, and continue to come back. And not just being confident in it, trusting that, being more trusting of it. So for now, we're gonna, I'm getting used to communicating this message, and we'll just keep digging at it until we settle into congruence on the message of performance, performance and presence, and being comfortable in it, and what that actually means. It does mean in certain contexts being a persona, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the artificial version of you type of performance. There are many contexts of performance. The context that I'm talking about is when you show up anyway and you communicate publicly, maintaining who you are, even in a situation of pressure. And it's going to be uncomfortable, and you're going to keep showing up. You're going to keep showing up. So that's it for today. I'm going to keep going live on Thursdays at noon, and hopefully in between I'll have other information, like, I'll start talking more about performance. There's something that I want to introduce to my community called performance capacity, but I think I needed to set up and ground us in what performance is. And I think I also need to ground us in what pressure is. So performance, pressure, and then what performance capacity is and what that all is. But let's start with this performance. So I'm going to start creating content on defining performance so we can kind of solidify what I mean by performance and who I'm talking to. Well, I hope this helps anybody who watched. It'll continue. Like I said, I'm going to keep showing up. In providing a performance example, an example of performance that is organic and authentic to who I am, so that you know that you have the same ability, but to empower you to do the same. Because I think a lot of us don't realize just how much power we have to reorchestrate our environments, our places of work, our homes, how we settle into ourselves. And it is my goal to keep it practical. I'm all about practical. So yeah. If you have any comments or questions or ideas, let me know. And if not, I will see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend and next week. And I will see you later. Bye.